In the whispering dark of the American wilderness, there are stories that cling to the treetops like mist, stories that refuse to die, stories that echo long after the campfire burns low. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the wildman of the woods. No matter what you call the creature, the legends persist, carried from generation to generation by those who swear they've seen something impossible. In this episode of Bigfoot Encounters Radio, we dive into the most gripping first-hand accounts, exploring true stories from ordinary people whose lives were forever changed by a brush with the unknown. Our journey begins with a tale from the Cascade Mountains of Washington, a rugged expanse where dense forest meets jagged rock. For decades, hikers and rangers have reported strange happenings, wood knocks resonating through the trees, footprints too massive to belong to any known animal, and unsettling cries that pierce the night. But one story stands out. A seasoned hunter named Mark, a man not easily shaken, was deep in the backcountry when he stumbled upon something that defied explanation. At dawn, as fog clung to the underbrush, he noticed huge impressions in the damp ground, impressions shaped like human feet, but twice the size and spaced far apart, as if belonging to a creature with a stride far longer than any humans. Mark followed the tracks until they suddenly ended at the edge of a cliff. But what chilled him wasn't where the prints stopped, it was the lingering sense that he was being watched. Moments later, a low, rumbling growl rolled through the valley below. Mark, a man who had faced bears and mountain lions without fear, admitted that he turned and ran. He swears the sound was not of this world. Further south, deep in the pine forests of Northern California, a young couple named Lily and Aaron shared another harrowing encounter. They had set up camp near a serene lake, hoping for a peaceful weekend off-grid. But peace was the last thing they found. That night, as they sat by the fire, they heard heavy footsteps circling just beyond the glow of the flames. Not the skittering of small animals or the cautious tread of deer, these steps were deliberate, weighty, purposeful. The pair froze as the footsteps came closer, stopping just at the edge of the treeline. Then came a sound that Lily described as a deep, guttural grunt, so powerful it vibrated in her chest. Aaron grabbed his flashlight, but the moment the beam cut into the forest, the footsteps retreated with astonishing speed. The next morning, they discovered that their cooler had been opened and moved several yards away, though the latch was too complex for a bear to manipulate. On the lid were long, smudged fingerprints, far larger than any human hand. Another story emerges from the Appalachian Mountains, where folklore runs deep and the forest holds secrets from centuries past. An elderly man named Jeb recalls a night from his youth, back when he worked as a logger. His camp was miles from the nearest town, connected only by a narrow dirt road that twisted through the hills. One night, after a long day of work, he sat outside his cabin smoking a pipe when he heard a strange, rhythmic pounding echoing from the valley below. It sounded like someone striking a tree with a massive piece of wood. The pounding continued for nearly an hour, sometimes close, sometimes distant. When the noise finally stopped, the woods fell eerily silent, too silent. The crickets, the owls, even the rustling leaves seemed to hold their breath. Then came the scream. Jeb described it as a haunting, ear-splitting wail that started low and rose to a shrill peak before abruptly cutting off. He had heard bobcats, cougars, and every manner of wildlife, but nothing like this. The next morning, he found a series of enormous tracks around the perimeter of his cabin, each one pressed deep into the soil. Jeb, a man who never feared the woods, admitted that he slept with a rifle by his bed for weeks afterward. Our next encounter takes us to the snowy wilderness of British Columbia. A trucker named Elena was driving a desolate mountain route late at night when she spotted something standing in the middle of the road. At first, she thought it was a moose or a bear, but as she slowed down, the creature turned its head toward her headlights. What she saw made her slam on the brakes. It was tall, easily over 8 feet, with long arms that hung nearly to its knees. Its fur was dark and matted, and its eyes glowed amber in the truck's beams. The creature took 3 slow, deliberate steps across the road and vanished into the trees. Elena sat in stunned silence, gripping the wheel so tightly her knuckles whitened. She later said she had never felt such an overwhelming sense of intelligence radiating from an animal. It watched her with understanding, almost curiosity, before disappearing. One of the most chilling stories comes from the swamps of Louisiana, where Bigfoot is known by another name, the skunk ape. A fisherman named Travis had been navigating the murky waters near Honey Island when he spotted something massive moving through the reeds. He assumed it was a wild boar until the creature stood upright. Travis described a towering figure covered in shaggy, dark fur, with long arms and a hunched posture. Its face, he said, was a disturbing blend of ape and human. The creature stared at him for several seconds before emitting a deep, raspy breath that echoed across the swamp. Travis froze, not daring to move. After a tense moment, the creature stepped back into the marsh and disappeared beneath the hanging moss. Travis later confided that it wasn't the creature's appearance that haunted him, it was the feeling that it could have approached him at any moment but chose not to. These stories, collected from all corners of the continent, paint a picture that is both terrifying and intriguing. Some will call them tall tales, creations of active imaginations or tricks of the wilderness. But for those who experienced them, the encounters were real, too real. Their voices tremble not with exaggeration, but with the memory of something that challenged everything they believed about the natural world. Bigfoot remains one of the greatest mysteries of modern folklore. Whether a flesh and blood creature, a relic from a forgotten age, or something far stranger, the legend endures because the stories endure. People continue to encounter something in the shadows, something powerful, elusive, impossibly ancient. And though the creature has never been captured or conclusively documented, the consistency of these encounters keeps the mystery alive. As we close this episode of Bigfoot Encounters Radio, remember this: the forest is vast, and our knowledge of it is small. For every path carved by human feet, there are miles of untouched wilderness where secrets roam free. Perhaps Bigfoot walks among those secrets, glimpsed only by those who stray far enough into the unknown. Whether you believe or not, the stories continue. The footsteps continue. And somewhere, in the dark heart of the woods, something watches and waits.